I'm Kyle Tarpin, President and CEO of the Walla Walla Valley Chamber. Thank you for joining us. Realized yesterday that we're now halfway through the Virtual Business Summit. So this marks our second half. We're very excited today to have another one of our local experts, Massey, joining us. Before we jump into the content, I want to give a huge thank you to our sponsors. Those sponsors, of course, are the Blue Zones Project, the City of College Place, the Port of Walla Walla, and the City of Walla Walla. And we were really lucky this year to have a presenter who's also a sponsor in Blue Zones. They would like me to remind you about the Connect Summit that they have coming up next week. Multiple sessions, learning about the Blue Zones Project, the importance of community and networking. So we're going to put a link in the chat and in the comments here in case you wanted more information or to register for that. As always, today you will be able to interact by posting questions using the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen, or if you are watching on Facebook, please post questions in the comments, and I'll be watching that closely and making sure all of your questions get to Cole. So let's jump right in. Cole, thank you so much for joining us today. We're super excited to have you here. For those of you who don't know, Cole is he's a man of many talents. We have him here today as a social media expert. He helps businesses with social media. I know he's also super involved in support groups for first responders. I believe you serve as a minister or a chaplain with the firefighters. Lots of irons in the fire, right, Cole?
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, it's really great to have you here. Like I said, we really like to lean on our local experts, the people who live in our community. They love this valley, and they're here to share their expertise with all of you and hopefully give you the skills that you need to help your business grow and thrive. So thank you, Cole. Take it away.
Oh, yeah. So I started this business about 8 years ago. It's called Eclop Creative Group, and we're a content creation, social media management, web design, some graphic design, logos, things like that. And after the pandemic hit, I started a page called Walla Walla Curbside and Pickup, which then morphed into Walla Walla Eats and Drinks. So currently I'm a content creator and social media manager and digital marketer for Walla Walla Steak Company, Crossbuck Brewing, Yellow Hawk Resort, Caprio, Sellers, Walla Walla Downtown Foundation, and the Farmers Market. So currently I'm creating content daily for all those accounts. And so from there, my first two accounts I started years ago were Walla Walla Bread Company and Tesla Wine Tour. And I didn't really have a guideline, and there wasn't really much for social media, like rules or etiquette or help, really. You just kind of had to do it and go and research a little bit. So I started the 5 Ps of social media, and I did that for my own sake to have a skeleton or almost a foundation of how to manage social media, but also how to trend amidst all of our different algorithms. So that's what I have. Do you want me to start out, Kyle?
Yeah, we're ready for you.
All right, okay. So the 5 Ps of social media, I'll list them off real quick, but it's passion, professionalism, product, posts, and people. And they're mostly in an order of importance, but I always hold passion as the number one thing for social media. And also small business, I would say. You can also download this at eclopcreativegroup.com/free. Eclot is spelled ECLAT. eclopcreativegroup.com/free. And also, I believe Kyle's going to post the link in the chat. And then you can download that PDF. Just hit a button, you'll have it. There's other free stuff on there. On the website also, there's a section called strategy videos. And we made videos a few years ago at the Marcus Whitman Hotel as a Chamber of Commerce service. So those are on there too. So I'll start with passion. Passion is important to me as a business social media because you then create create some type of emotional tie or a connection to potential customers. And passion would be the passion of your business should always be the number one priority on your social media list. The consumer wants to know the reason you started and why you're still going. And you'll see this in family businesses like, oh, my family passed down this recipe, or I inherited this business through generations, or maybe you started a business out of a need, or you quit your 9 to 5 and just went out full entrepreneur and started a winery or any type of small business. And I believe in social media, the rule for passion is that people see that passion, which is, why are you posting? What are you excited about? The verbiage. What's the underlying message that you're sending through your verbiage if you put it in the Zoom of passion? And I can see that, like my social media company, I always say, we can help you trend or be the trend. My company is really good at putting butts in the seats. And that's because I have a history of owning a restaurant, and I know what it's like to open up and nobody's in your restaurant and nobody's there, and you've paid money for advertising or you've paid money for marketing, and it's just not happening. So my company guarantees that we can put butts in your seats at your business. So that's a passion of mine. But also social media as a whole is a passion of mine because I love connecting, networking, and communicating. That's the first one. Kyle, did you have any questions, or you want me to go to the next one?
Well, let me ask you one question, because I have written lots of posts for social media, and when I'm doing it, I really struggle to get the passion to show through. I end up getting a little bit too technical. I try to edit it a lot. How can you make sure that your passion is really coming through? It's just a little intimidating in actually writing a post, maybe that conveys the passion.
Yeah, for me, that's a good question. For me, I focus on the content. So whether it's a photograph or a video, I allow the content to show my passion. Say I'm shooting the hatchet at Steakco. I'm going to capture the fire, the smoke, the sound, the sizzle. That's the things that I want to capture in that post. And then my caption would probably be like, I don't know, can you taste this from there, or something like that. You got to be careful not to look desperate, where you show a picture of your empty restaurant and then you say, hey, we're waiting for you, come on down. Like, to me, that's just saying desperate. I would rather show a culture, a vibe, an ambiance, a product, creme brulee with the fire on it, and maybe someone can start to smell that sugar, in their own room. But also, I usually make a statement and ask a question. Those same things. Hey, it's Wine Wednesday. What are you up to? Something like that. It's Wine Wednesday. Do you like a red, a white, or maybe a pink rosé like I do? And then you just showed them that you like pink rosé, and that showed a passion through your post.
Gotcha. Well, you make it sound really easy. I think there's some really great tips in there, though. So just a reminder to everybody, if you have a question, please post that in the link or in the Q&A, and we'll make sure that gets asked. If you don't get a question posted in time, don't worry. We're going to have time at the end for a Q&A. So if you think of a question regarding passion or one of the other P's, but we kind of go past it, no sweat. Ask the question, and we'll get back to that at the end.
Awesome. Hey, the next one I have is professionalism, which really coattails on this. The first P being passion, the second P being professionalism. Again, this is the 5 P's of social media. And professionalism, are you spelling correctly and using proper grammar? Do you present a great first impression that is inviting? And then I also listed in there, be confident. And when I went through my fire academy, there was one of my training officers that said, you're always in an interview. And I apply that to social media too. I also say you're only as good as your last post. but there's also that part where you're always in an interview. And so if you're a high-end restaurant, you got to make sure you're spelling and grammar school. I know this is elementary. I know this is so basic, but last week I had a big name client, not my client, someone else's client, and they came to me and said, we're just tired of who's managing our social media because there's always spelling errors, and that counts against us. And they actually made a funny comment. They said, have you paid $5 a month and got Grammarly on your phone so that you can post the right stuff? But on really big posts where I have a lot at stake, and it is a first impression, it is your first interview as a post. With that, I usually have one or two people that I'll throw the post to. Or if I'm managing a certain page, Facebook or Instagram, there's also other people that manage that, and they check my work all the time and I check their work, and we'll have quick communication like you forgot an apostrophe or you used the wrong type of verbiage, the wrong grammar. That matters when you're trying to sell a high-end product, but also when you're trying to sell something simple too. And I've seen it on my food page, Wawa Eats and Drinks, is the customers, not customers, the businesses that actually put time and effort into a photograph that's not blurry, a photograph that's actually saying what they're trying to push, and they also are telling you something. Less is more on that. You don't need one, but hang on, I gotta cut this because there's a pet peeve I always have with posting. And it's third-party posts. So like you go through, say, Hootsuite, and then Hootsuite posts to Instagram and it posts to Facebook. That's an awesome thing to save you time. Really, it's only saving you a couple minutes. But when you share through Hootsuite and sometimes third-party apps, then your post on Facebook is going to have like 30 hashtags in your post. So you've spent a half hour taking a picture, another 15 minutes editing. You get your post set up, then you write your verbiage, and then you're about to post it. You're an hour into just getting the post up, and then you have a one-liner that's incredible, like, I don't know, the sun's out at the airport today or something like that, or downtown looks amazing. But then you have 30 hashtags there. You're burying your message. And it's a big pet peeve of mine because Facebook already has hashtags, meaning every word, almost every word that you type turns into a hashtag on their search engine. That doesn't happen on Instagram or TikTok, but it happens through Facebook in a way that you can keep your post relevant. So let's say we have the Super Bowl coming up. You can make comments about the Super Bowl in your post that are really quick, like, are you drinking wine on Super Bowl Sunday? Something like that. Facebook's going to take Super Bowl Sunday and wine and turn it into a hashtag and already sets you in their algorithm for going. So you don't need all those hashtags. What I do is I post on Instagram and I post on Facebook. I post everything separately so that it's also unique. And you're going to get a better algorithm. How would you explain it? You're going to trend better if you don't always post from Instagram to Facebook. There's about a 30% drop in your trending that is lost there. That happened before Instagram and Facebook came together, and it was kind of their way of battling each other so that one would trend better. I hope as they're together now under Meta that they'll actually get rid of some of that in between stuff. But I hope I didn't rabbit trail. But I think it's part of professionalism.
Yeah, well, that's a really great tip there, kind of about knowing your audience, right? And there's probably a little bit different audience on each one of these platforms. So a blanket post, maybe that's better than no post, but if it is specific to your, to the platform, you're saying that that's probably the way to go?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and staying in focus with what you're doing. Like, I know it seems elementary, but if you look at Facebook and you just scroll through, think about the posts that you clicked on and that you stopped at and that you looked at, and think about the ones that you overlooked because they just looked messy or unprofessional. I mean, we do have shock and awe posts where you post something really dramatic to grab their attention to feed them into something else. But it's back to basic marketing because social media is just under marketing. It's under the marketing umbrella. but social media is also a magnifying glass that just exposes what's already there. So when you're posting about your business or your trade or your entrepreneurship or your craft or whatever you got going, your nonprofit, all you're doing is putting a magnifying glass on what you already have. So think of a social media post as an arrow. What bullseye are you trying to hit? Are you trying to get butts in the seats? Are you trying to get a to-go menu or people to order online? Are you trying to get memberships through wineries? Like, stay focused in where you're at and shoot your arrow at that one target that you really know, and then keep it in schedule. I don't have it on here, but I think oh yeah, that's under post. But I don't know. Do you have any thoughts or do you have any questions on professionalism?
Well, we do have a question there. It is specific to hashtags. Do you want to wait until posts?
Oh, yeah, we can answer. That's cool.
Okay, so the question comes from Megan, and she's wanting a little bit more of a basic explanation about hashtags. But the main part of her question is, how do I get the most use out of them, and who is the biggest audience?
Yeah. I have an analogy for this, but I use fishing. And so you have to go first, what kind of fish are you trying to get? And that could be a demographic. It could be certain hobbies or certain things that people do. But if you figure out what your fish is, then you're going to know what pole you need. And then you're going to know, am I going to be on an ocean, a lake, or a river? And then where is that river that kind of fish is at? So a lot of people use hashtags as a shotgun blast, kind of just shooting it out there. But look at your previous insights on your Facebook or Instagram analytics, and it'll show you who your demographic is. And then you start to go, okay, this is where it's at. We did it years ago with Redco. We figured out that women in their late 30s and early 40s were logging into the bread company Facebook page or jumping onto it, and they were ordering certain things and seeing what was there at a certain time of day on a certain day a week. And so then we were able to push some of our ads towards what was already working. You just got to throw some bait in there. So bait is a hashtag, and a hashtag lines you up with the demographic, subject, or type of person that you're going after. There's all kinds of stuff. Some people say just use 3, some use 5. I see a lot of stuff where people use hashtags as like hashtag going to school again, and it's not really relevant to your business. I'm going to say this too. Hashtag Wine Wednesday isn't really relevant to a local business if you're trying to get people to come taste wine during the day. They're not actually going to look for a Wine Wednesday. They're going to look for a hashtag Walla Walla or Main Street or just wine. So what I do with Instagram is I'm giving you guys a huge trick, but the more people we can get in this town and the more places we can get busier are big. I'll just Google best hashtags for something. So like best hashtags for dessert, best hashtags for wine tasting, and look those up. And there's a couple places that give you 30 hashtags. Instagram can only take 30 hashtags. So I'll use 2 hashtags in my original post, which would be like hashtag Crossbook Brewing and then hashtag visit Walla Walla. That's kind of a sign that it's me, that I'm the social media manager doing that. And then I'll go and search, say, craft beer. What's the best hashtags for craft beer? And then I'll find it. And there's certain sites that give you 30 hashtags right off the bat. All you have to do is push copy, and then you just paste that in your comment. But because I already used 2 hashtags in my original post, it means I have to delete 2 of those from the 30 before I post it. So the whole post ends up at 30. And then that way, if I post on Instagram and I shoot it over to Facebook automatically, those hashtags don't carry with it. They stay in the comment section of Instagram and they keep you clean. So also one of the rules I have, if you're just going to choose like a half dozen hashtags, choose the hashtags that are over like 1 million or 500,000. Don't choose a hashtag that's only has 100 hashtags to it, because you're weakening your chances of that succeeding. And if you don't have time to Google and you don't have to look it up, keep it subject to what you're doing. If it's wine, just use a few wine hashtags and you'll be good.
Okay, we did have one more question come in regarding hashtags. So Shannon asks, are you using websites like allhashtag.com? Is that where you're talking about going and finding some of these hashtags?
I never looked at the URL, but I can look it up real quick.
Okay.
My phone will pop it up. The one that I use is, it looks like besthashtags.com. And that's already set up as your 30 rate. It looks like that's what it is. Yeah, best-hashtags.com. And you also want to put the date, 2022 or 2021. I'm still using 2021 hashtags because that's going to have more of a rollover and success rate because we're not even halfway through 2022. So the algorithms aren't necessarily set up yet as far as trending, except for TikTok, because TikTok's advancing so fast, you'll be all right. But TikTok, you don't do 30 hashtags. You just need like 3 or 4. Because what's going to get you to trend on TikTok is really the song and the shock and awe of the content.
Okay, and this is probably a good time to remind people that when Cole and I were sitting down to develop the content for this website, or excuse me, for this webinar, we had so many ideas, so many different directions that we were going to go, that we decided that actually this needs to be kind of the foundational webinar, and that we are going to have 5 other seminars later this year that will get into the details of the platforms, different medias, photo versus video. And so we're going to get into a lot more details later on during the year. So we don't want you to get bogged down with that, but the content that we're presenting today is important for every single one of the platforms that you might be using. So we'll get into the deep details maybe of TikTok in another one of these webinars, but for today, we're talking about foundational principles.
Awesome. And this is the 5 P's of social media. We already covered passion, professionalism. Again, they should be in your chat if you want this link and download it just as your guide. The third one's going to be product. I have here product is it's the keys to making a post trend, timing, hashtags, and quality. Plan your posts ahead of time and keep them consistently sharp. I'm going to read that top part again. The keys to making a post trend, timing, hashtags, and quality. Timing, I go off of 7-11-7, which is 7 a.m., 11 a.m., and 7 p.m. I've kind of changed that lately to, I now try and get all my posts up by 6 a.m. And I keep the 11 a.m. and I'm roughly between 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock, depending on the day of the week. Friday is a terrible time to post in the evening. You just don't get much traction. You won't trend as quick. Also, Saturday night is not very good. What I've noticed, Saturday morning's okay. It's a good time to post for our farmers market downtown because people see it that morning and it's something they can see and go to right away. But the best time to post is Sunday night before 7, between 5 p.m. and 7 p.m. That's where you're going to get the biggest posts, chances of trending. And I think it's because how many people are on their phones, or maybe families are spread out in different rooms on a Sunday night, each are doing their own thing before dinner time or so. Or football could be on and half the house doesn't want to watch football, the other does. They're on their phones. So timing is huge. I see a lot of places in town that shoot stuff out the day of, which is great. But if you're trying to get your tasting room full for a special event, I would start hitting it. Say your event's on a Friday night, I would start hitting it Monday evening. Monday evening's great. You got hashtag Monday Night Football. You've got different things you can use. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, and then Thursday, start your posting at like Thursday morning, then Thursday at lunch, then Thursday at night, and then hit your last one Friday morning and maybe Friday at lunch for your Friday night event. But your biggest time to trend to get people to know is going to be that day before. So timing is a huge issue, a huge thing to me. Hashtags we already covered. Make your hashtags relevant. Also locally, if you're trying to get butts in the seats, look up hashtags that are good locally. We have Walla Walla Wine, super great hashtag for local. We also have Wall Wine, WA Wine. That's a great one. We've got Walla Walla Beer. We've got Visit Walla Walla. We have Discover Walla Walla. Those are all good ones that can hit tourists, but can also hit your locals. And then the other part I have post is quality. Of course, what I usually do is shoot food. So I'm trained by all kinds of people from restaurant owners to chefs about what food should be. There's an old, there's a story that I think is pretty true. There was a business here a few years ago that had a social media manager, and they took a photo of a product inside the store, and then they posted that product, but in the posting, they edited that product. And so by the time they took the picture, put it online, and then somebody came into that business to buy that product actually had an orange color rather than a red color because of how many filters went on it and how much they changed that photo. And so that customer was pretty frustrated because they wanted something in a certain color that they saw, but then when they went to get it, it wasn't that color. And you see that with food. If I darken up a photo too much for Steako, you're going to think the steak is burnt, or you're going to see the steak as orange and not a red, or creme brulee is going to be too white and not yellow enough, or a Hefeweizen is going to be too yellow and not enough orange, or a gin martini may be too green rather than clear. So your quality of your post is going to tell exactly who you are. Remember, you're always in an interview. And if you're going to the interview, you wouldn't wear the clothes you wear to Walmart there. You would dress up. Kyle, you have a tie on right now. You showed up to work and be professional. And I think that's the same thing with the photos and videos that we post. Now, if you have a photo that just has a nice emotional heartstring to it, or that it's going to trend, that it's going to be really good, but it's a little bit blurry, it's a little bit pixelated. Or I've done it with videos. I had some amazing videos, but the quality just wasn't good. You can still take those and post them in your stories. Because Instagram's basically just a place to show your art. It's an art gallery. So you want your best art on your pages, but at the same time, some of that art isn't the best, but it means something to you. Put it in your stories. Let it trend. Stories are huge right now. I look more at stories than I do at pages. And I don't know why, it's just the habit that I've got into. So don't throw a photo out or video out because it's not as good. Put it in your stories. Or if you want to show a picture of your dog, but you have a business, maybe do that in your stories in a way that's like, hey, here's a little bit more insight to my life, and here's my, Labradoodle that I think is really cool, but can never pose for a picture.
I think what I'm hearing from you say there is really speaking to authenticity, right? Pictures aren't always perfect. People know that. And when they see that you're being real, I feel that when I'm looking at content, that goes a long way. One of the reasons why at the end of movies you appreciate it now, the outtakes or the bloopers, it's kind of funny to see the people making the movie, but at the same time having fun and being themselves. The other thing that what you were talking about reminded me of with filters, and I think fast food is guilty of this all the time. You see an ad on TV or even on their menu when you're going through a drive-through, and when you unwrap that burger, it does not look like the picture.
Yeah, it's true. I watch a lot of food commercials, and Subway and Arby's do really well with their food placement, the food dropping, and the moisture, and and Taco Bell does a good job. But yeah, when you get there, it's different. So, and it's tough too in the pandemic times when you see something on a website or Facebook, and here's our spring salad adding chicken with some strawberry, but then when you get it, it's in a to-go box, and that's tough on chefs. The chefs don't really appreciate that either because now they can't plate it how they want. But you're right; those things they matter, and people want what they see. That's why we got them.
Okay, so maybe one of the questions here, very specific to one product, and Laura asks us, any suggestions or ideas to promote sourdough bread? So let's say you were making a post for a bakery that specializes in sourdough bread. What kind of post would you create, and how would you, use those three keys that you talked about to make that post?
Yeah, the first I think of is your product is your product. So if it's sourdough, stay focused on the product, not so much the restaurant or the kitchen or the table setting necessarily. Stay focused on that one product. And I would say like I would probably do, but one I always go straight to video first. But if it was a photo, I would maybe show a topical picture of the bread, the burnt lines that are meant to be there, and then maybe show another one where you cut it, show the inside of it, spread it apart, almost like taking a, if you could shoot a picture of a cheeseburger like that, or you can cut it in half and open it, and now you've revealed this whole other world inside that cheeseburger. Now you're showing all the layers and everything that's inside of there. And as humans, I think we just want to then just eat it, With bread, I would like to see it hot, maybe put some butter on it and the butter's melting in. I turn it into a slow-mo and maybe crumble some salt over the top in a slow-mo feed, and then add a touch of filter for warmness there, but then a good music, a good song that gives the vibe that you're trying to get, like, a happy song or a classical song. Again, that it lines up with your branding of your business. I hope that answers the question.
Yeah, but hey, I think half of our viewers just left. They're heading down to the bakery to get some sourdough. Making all of us hungry.
Yeah, Chef Pompey over there, bread company, does an amazing job shooting his bread. So I would look at them too. And also Ivan Harada, a friend of mine, he's doing some amazing stuff on Instagram with bread that he's making himself, and he's shooting it very well. But also, here's another thing though. Look at, if you're going to shoot food or any type of product, also look at the cultural side of it and the historical side of it. What is a true sourdough bread? What is the shape that it should be? Maybe list some ingredients that are relevant to that bread, and maybe list something else, why sourdough is around and why it's called sour. Maybe some people don't know. So now you're throwing a little bit of educational in there, but you're also throwing some cultural in there. And those things can trend really easy. Educational stuff trends very well. You ready for the next one?
We're ready for the next one. Yeah, I want everybody to know there are a couple of questions still outstanding. I think we're going to keep those ones until the end because we're going to hit some similar topics as we go through these 5 Ps. So if we don't get to your question immediately, forgive me, but we'll get those at the end of the seminar. Yeah.
So again, I'm Cole Massey with the Clock Creative Group. This is the 5 Ps of social media. The first P being passion, second P being professionalism, third being product, and the next one is post. We already did post, didn't we? So we're on people now.
Yeah, I think you jumped from product to post. You didn't give too much detail on product. If you want to read that one, let's do it.
Yeah, let's do product. Product is always present your product with a photo, video, or a description. The consumer needs to know what you're selling. And that's a big thing because sometimes we get into our own world as artists or creatives and we want to show the whole picture. That's great at sometimes, but if you're selling handmade purses online, then you should always be showing handmade purses and keep that product in mind. I would also say product could be a service. In the restaurant, wine industry, beer industry, you're selling a beer, but you're also selling the service that comes with that beer. How many beers do we have? We have 22 beers on tap. Or maybe we only have 4 beers on tap, but we have 4 really good ones. Sweet Basil downtown has really good beers on tap. In my opinion, they choose very quality beers, but there's usually only 4 or 5 of them. Also, they're cheaper than anyone else downtown too, so it's a great spot to get that. But if they're going to shoot about beer in their restaurant, they're not going to show pizza. look at that product that's good. Burwood Brewery is very good at shooting just the beer, just the product. So is Quirk. Obviously, Crossbuck too, but we like to shoot an ambiance, a vibe, a culture, an environment. Also, all the burgers and everything that you get with it. But if I'm going to push just a beer, I'm going to have it solely that beer that's there and make it look as best as you can. When I started shooting food, I did it because I basically said, I want to make food sexy again. Like, I want food to be alluring and enticing, and you want to be there, grab it. You know, if your product is done in a really good way, you don't even really need to put any verbiage up there. The product will speak for itself. So that's the quality of images. And I think, Kyle, you and I talked about, we might do a session on how to take photographs with your phone, something like that.
Yeah, one of those ideas was helping people understand the features that most cell phones have. And you might not have to go out and hire a video production company. You might be able to do some things really quick, really easily, without spending a whole lot of money. Definitely lots of times when that is necessary, but you've got an amazing camera in your pocket all the time. So we're going to get into one of the sessions will be about how to use your phone to take better pictures and better video.
Yeah, because I'll probably go into one of my accounts today, Steakco, about 3:30, and the chef might have a feature, and that feature is available tonight, but the quantity is limited. So I'm going to use my phone to shoot something really fast, really quick, get it out there, put it up, get your product up, and push that product for 24 hours. So that's a huge thing. Any questions on that?
We don't have any questions there. You did mention a couple of Instagram feeds, so I'm going to post the link to the Walla Walla Bread Company. If you want to look at the images that Cole was talking about, we'll direct you right there. So look for that in the comments and in the chat.
Yeah. So the next one we have is people. Again, the 5 P's of social media. The first one being passion, professionalism, product, post, and people. Remember that people are the reason we're in social media. Like, social media has the word social on the front of it. I always laugh at that because I'm more of an introvert, but I'm an extrovert when I need to be. And so I think people is huge because social media is social, which is interesting because a lot of content creators and social media managers are introverts, but I think they use social media socially, you know. And I like that. Remember that people are the reason we're on social media. Without a social interaction, we are just throwing words into the air. And what I mean by that is your responses. I'm going to cut right to something that I'm passionate about again, is bad reviews. When you get bad reviews, what do? Delete the review? I don't, unless it's vulgar, unless it's very mean, vindictive, or it's a competitor that's just being aggressive in their tactics. But I would say when you get a bad review, people in general are going to look at your response. What is your response as a business to that bad review? And that's going to speak of your character, your integrity, but it's also going to talk about you want relationship and you want to restore what happened. Someone writing something on your Facebook is just like someone in a restaurant coming to the manager and saying, hey, I didn't get the service I expected or wanted or hoped for. And then you take time to talk about that. You just don't kick them out. You know, oh, sorry, get out of here. You know, you're going to take a minute and talk. So with, just remember that your posts are going to people. They're going to humans. And post something that humans and people can grab onto. If it's a happy hour post, happy hour is going to be between 4 or 6 or 3 and 5, depending on the place. Then remember who that person is that you're going for. Maybe they're stressed. Maybe they had a long day. Maybe it's a work meeting. Maybe it's a family celebration. You know, we say it all the time at Steakco in our pre-shift meetings, people choose to come here for a birthday or an anniversary or date night. That's a huge thing. If someone comes into your restaurant or your business, that's the number one thing. The number one investor in a business is your customer. So with your customer being your number one investor in your business, then when you go back to people, remember that your posts have to do with people. If you're going to put up a photo of a burger, maybe have some fries and the ketchup there, but maybe something in the background or people in the background. There are times to shoot just a product, but there's also times where you want to shoot the activity, the community. I mean, for me, food brings people together, or food reminds you of something in your past that's good. So always keeping people in mind, always being social. Try and reply to people fast. Try and just heart their comment. Do those types of things because it's a computer screen, it's a phone, it's a computer at work, but someone's behind that computer, someone's behind that page, someone's behind that post. And if you can catch them online and you can hold them and you can show who you are online, then it's going to make it a lot easier when they come into your business and they just naturally fit and it feels good.
Yeah, all really great things there. And if there's food in a photo, what you're really trying to do is make a hungry person want to come in and eat that food. Or if you're providing a service, what you're really trying to do is show someone that they can get that service from you. And people kind of have to be able to picture themselves doing that. When I lived in Idaho, I sat on a tourism board. And we had a lot of great photos of rivers, canyons, desert, mountains, waterfalls. But it wasn't until we started showing pictures of people in those environments that we were successful on social media. So not just a river, but we showed, a family fishing on the river or some people kayaking on the river. And instead of just the landscape of the mountains, we showed people who were camping or hiking or riding ATVs. And all of a sudden, people were able to see themselves doing that activity. And we had a lot more success on social media. So it could be a wonderful picture. People might say, great, nice picture, but it's not going to motivate them to do something unless they can visualize themselves doing that. A lot of the things that you talked about today are really trying to help people feel like they could have that same experience, do that same thing, enjoy that product.
Yeah, because we have maybe a second and a half to grab someone as they're scrolling. I mean, it may even be like half a second of something. So it's different if you have a lake, but then if you have a father and son with a fishing pole by a lake, totally different picture, totally different feel. I'm also going to talk about something real quick that I guess is a pet peeve of mine, but it's about your posting. I see businesses, let's say that you're, I don't know, a granola bar food truck and you're selling granola bars out of a food truck. I see a lot of businesses check their business into their business. So like great granola bar food truck is at great granola bar food truck. And that's going to hurt your trending. It's going to hurt you getting out there. Basically, you're just making a post to your own people. Like, so if you do that, you're really just posting to the people that already like your page. What I try and do all the time is if I'm in downtown Walla Walla, I always check the business in that I'm managing into downtown Walla Walla. Or if it's outside of downtown, I'll check it into Walla Walla. And then you just changed your whole, it's like when the pond across from Super One loads fish in there for kids, you have all these new fish in there. Now the kids can catch something. It's kind of the same way with if you check into the city that you're in, you're going to have a lot more fish out there. You're going to have a lot more success of catching something. But if you just say, I'm not in Walla Walla, I'm just on Chestnut and Third, that's it. You're really limiting yourself. So always check into the city around you, and you'll get a better view insight, or you'll get more views on that post.
Yeah, basically you're just casting a wider net.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to draw everyone's attention to a comment from our friend Noah Levitt. Posted a really good article there. If you know Noah at all, read something that reminds him of you or of your industry, he's going to send it to you. And I've been on the receiving end of a lot of great stuff from Noah. So thanks, Noah. But talking about authenticity. So check out that article if you can. And then I mentioned we had a couple of questions that kind of go back to some content that we already touched on, but might make a little bit more sense to save now to the end. Again, please get your questions in. We've got a few minutes left. Andrea asks if you could please repeat the most used hashtags relating to Walla Walla. So you mentioned a few of them. Discover Walla Walla, visit Walla Walla. Can you repeat some of those for us?
Yeah. Visit Walla Walla, discover Walla Walla. You also have Wall Wine, which is I spell my hashtags out differently. I use capitals, so I'll use if I did hashtag Walla Walla, I'm going to do hashtag capital W Walla and then capital W Walla. Does that make sense? It just looks better in my opinion. It looks more professional. It doesn't look like your shoes are untied. You just threw it up there. But there is one post that has 2 capital letters, and it's capital W, capital A, and then lowercase y. That's Wall Wine. That's a good one for that industry. I think that started over on the west side with some of our wine events that started to pick up. You also have south side wines. You also have downtown Walla Walla, and then you also have Walla Walla Valley, Walla Walla Valley wine. Some people use Columbia Valley, but what's another one? You can look too, you can type them in on Facebook. So you can type them in your search engine as a hashtag and it'll show how many hashtags are there. You can also do it on Instagram when you type in, say, when you start to type in hashtag Walla Walla, Instagram's going to give you a bunch of hashtags underneath it in order of how popular they are. So like right now, I'm trying to build hashtag Crossbuck Brewing. It's not a huge trending hashtag, but right next to it, I'll put visit Walla Walla. And so that visit Walla Walla carries a lot of weight here. I can't really think of any others. Walla Walla hair, that's a big one. Pretty much all the salons use them. Walla Walla hair is really big. So what I would do is like go to the industry that you're interested in or that you're in and search that on Instagram and Facebook and see what they're all using. And then know that you need hashtags for local, absolutely. And then you need some for national. But use both of those at the same time, but always use a local hashtag if you need butts in the seats.
Okay, great info. Another question that we have here, you covered ideal posting time. So this goes back to posts, the posting time where you mentioned 7-11-7 and kind of modifying that to fit your industry. But what about the use of stories? When, why, and what time should people use for stories?
That's a good question. I never really thought of that, but stories last a long time. I think they have it's a 24-hour shelf life, and they disappear. So there's really not a bad time to do stories because someone's going to see them anyways over that span of time. But again, if you want to capture people early, in the summer hours or the summertime of Walla Walla, spring, summer, I kind of do stuff more around 6 a.m., 6:30 because people are getting up earlier. But in the winter, I stay around 7 because they're not getting up so early and doing things. But I would always, if you're trying to get something through the story, do one at 7 a.m., 11 a.m., and 7 p.m. Keep them rolling. On my personal Insta, I do 3 a day, and all my clients, I'm usually doing 3 to 4 story posts a day. And you can just take your regular post that you have and share it as a story. It sometimes looks a little lazy because it's like you didn't make your own post from the story, but I don't think it is because someone can still click on it and get more info. But sometimes I'll take the photo that I used in my post and I'll post it as the story, and then I'll post the story in there too. So they see the photo really clear, really big. Maybe it was a really good photo, you want people to see it. but then the next story slide is going to be the link to that page. That's a little trick I use.
Okay, yeah, definitely a great tip there. And should the stories correlate to a post? Like if you have a very thoughtful photograph that you use it as a post, you then also have a story that kind of builds on the post, or does it matter?
Sometimes we did a video shoot for Tesla Wine Tour and Capro Cellars a few weeks ago, and I posted in my stories the background pictures. Like I videoed us videoing the whole project, and so in my stories I would put the behind the scenes, but then when the actual post came out, I would post it on Instagram and then share the post of the story, but use your GIFs. And your GIFs have a lot of cool stuff. Like there's a Wine Wednesday GIF. There's a GIF that says new story or new post. Use those and send attention back to that post, because your stories aren't really going to trend. Your stories are fish bait just to pull them into your page. But your actual post on your page, that's what's going to trend. So if you can post it to different stories, Yellow Hawk, Crossbuck, and Steak Company are all under the same umbrella. So I'll post something on the Steak Co. Instagram, but then I'll share it to Yellow Hawk stories and Crossbuck stories, if that makes sense. And some wineries may have a winery here, Woodinville, Seattle, Bend. You can do the same thing by sharing those in all the stories.
Yeah, what I'm kind of hearing when you say that is that the actual posts are more about the marketing side of it. And then the stories seem like it's more about building a relationship with the people who are coming to look. You're showing like the behind the scenes, the more authentic stuff. Someone who's already interested, who then that wouldn't draw their attention as a main post. But once you have their attention, they're interested in maybe going a little bit further.
Yeah, which would go e-commerce, which is a whole nother deal. But yeah, your stories are, if you sell products online, you sell candles or something, your stories are a great place to grab them and then send them back to that post to buy that thing. But you can also put a link in your Instagram stories now. You can put a website link. Stuff changes almost daily. So I also follow a site called Social Media Today. I follow them on Facebook and they have an Instagram too. But Social Media Today has your most the best updated changes on Instagram. Well, on social media. So Facebook just made some changes. Instagram made a lot of changes. TikTok, Twitter's just sitting there being confused right now. But between those, you can always find something new.
Okay, we don't have any more open questions, but there was one issue you brought up that I wanted to revisit. And that is, what do you do when someone writes a negative comment or posts a negative review? And I think everyone has seen, some of those funny ones where someone responds on Yelp or on a Facebook page, just super sarcastic and really gets back at that person who, was causing a problem. A lot of times it's a bar or a restaurant, right? And so they kind of write a snarky reply back. I've never done that as part of the chamber, but comments show up, and what is the best way to really deal with those? When is, you mentioned, go ahead and delete it if it's crude or vulgar, or if it's attacking you or one of your employees. But what is the best way to engage that person, and how can you turn it into a positive rather than just a negative?
Yeah, you never know what 5 minutes in the morning was really bad for someone's day. So someone could have had a bad morning and it affects their whole day, and they need someone to take it out on. Is what I've seen on social media. But I'm also a public information officer for FEMA, and also Department of Natural Resources, some Forest Service stuff, and in the fire industry. And so we do a lot of awareness in communities when there's big fires about you need to evacuate, you got to leave. Something that I always keep in mind is that there's a freedom of speech. And sometimes that can be a sensitive area, even if it's really rude and mean, there's still, people still have that sense of freedom of speech in that area. So some pages that I've been on, how you set them up, if there is someone just being rude, mean, something like that, and you know that if you start to dive into that, you're just opening up a really bad nest or putting your finger in the fire, there are some buttons where you can just hide a comment. And a lot of times the other person doesn't know that you hit that comment. And so it doesn't escalate anything, but then no one else can see it. But what I do too is reply to someone in a private message and just use customer service and say, what is it that I did wrong? What is it that we did wrong? I don't usually start with a sorry. I don't apologize first because we may have not done something wrong. Someone just had a bad day. And so I'm careful on saying, I'm so sorry, because then you're admitting the wrong. I would more open a channel, not that you're supposed to admit the wrong, but you could have stood on something in policy with your business, and then someone had a problem with that. And so you don't want to say sorry for something that you stand for within your business. You want to stand up for your policies and structure in your businesses, but at the same time, come about a different way with a person. So I'll use a private message them, hey, here's my cell phone number. Do you want to talk? It seems that you're frustrated. How can we work this out? Or do it right on there, which is a good thing, because again, people see your character and integrity of your business through that. And also ask around, ask people inside of your business, ask someone that in the next 2 offices by you, hey, this came up, what would you do? What would you say? You might get a whole different perspective on that. Or you might just be overthinking it and you don't have to do anything to it. Just let it sit there. And a lot of times the community takes care of the problem for you. You know, on Walla Walla Eats and Drinks in that Facebook group, it's not a place for reviews, so I don't allow reviews. I only allow compliments and good things said. So when someone comes in and starts attacking a business, you'll be surprised how many people defend that business. And sometimes I'll just kind of let that go for a little bit and see what the community resolves on their own, and I can kind of stay out of it. And then if it starts to escalate a lot, then I'll just delete the whole feed and just be done. Let's get rid of this. You know? Just be careful. Don't react too fast. Take a minute, think about it. You're not under a time issue. Figure out how to respond and come up with a plan.
That's really good, advice, not just for social media, but for every aspect of life. So
yeah,
I'm really applicable there.
I'm learning it. Yeah.
Okay, well, we really appreciate everybody watching today. We've run out of time. But like I said, we're going to have some more in-depth seminars coming up later this year. We're going to dive into technology, how to make better posts using technology that you already have. We're going to talk about some of these platforms individually, how they compare with each other, how to build your audience. Lots of great content forthcoming for the virtual summit that we're doing. We like to have a lot of broad topics. And because this one is so broad, we're going to get into those fine details a little bit later in the year. So, Cole, thank you so much. We posted there the links to his website. Please visit the website. You can download that infographic on the 5 pieces of social media and some info that you can utilize when you're doing your strategic communications plan. So we encourage everybody to do that. That is also where you can find Cole's contact info if you would like to reach out directly to him. And go ahead, Cole.
The chamber strategy videos are on on my website still. I think there's 5 strategy videos that we filmed. I think Dave Mitchell was with us that day, but we filmed them with Tangent Media in one of the highest floors of the Marcus Whitman. So they're kind of cool videos.
Yeah, of course, Dave Mitchell has been a frequent presenter here for us, and he's actually going to be presenting at the Blue Zones Connect Summit. We'll get one more plug in there too. So really great information there about personal and leadership development that you can attend for free in 2 weeks. So check out that link that we posted. Again, we want to thank Blue Zones. We want to thank the Port of Walla Walla, the City of Walla Walla, and of course, the City of College Place for sponsoring all this content. You can find this immediately on our Facebook page. We're also going to post it along with some other links on our website when we have the videos downloaded and ready to go. So we really appreciate everybody's time today. Again, Cole, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us. And we look forward to seeing everybody as early as tomorrow for our next session. Thanks, everybody. Bye.
Thanks, Kyle.